Antonoaldo Neves, welcome to the National. Good to see you. Record profits, 5 million passengers. It's as good as it gets, some would say. Where are your strongest routes and your best growth?
Thank you for having me, Manis. I mean, we're really happy to be here today talking to you and eager for the event that we're going to have. I mean, it's a combination of factors, right? I mean, we're doing that, and you cannot say that it's only one region that is helping, right? We made a very important change in our network strategy about 1.5 years ago. So Etihad before was flying ultra long haul to ultra long haul, competing head to head with our competition, and we said, look, within the 4 hours circle, right, in the region, you have 2 billion people. Right, about that, right? It's a lot of people, right? So why I'm trying to fight a fight that I will get in trouble, right? So we said, look, why don't we position ourselves to be the primary choice in terms of frequency and customer service in the Middle East and India?
So this is a 4-hour sphere of influence. That's the core focus.
You have more than 2 billion people, right? And in that region, I need to have 4 flights a day, so that I have frequency to provide people with better scheduling and a great product. So that actually changed a lot our game, right? Today, I mean, if you take India to Europe, we're #1 in market share wherever we fly. We were not that before. So I cannot name one region that is doing better than another,
but
because it's all part of a network.
It's part of that bigger strategy that you've got, but the target is 16 new routes this year. Can you sustain that level of growth?
I mean, the key question that we ask ourselves every day, right? I mean, we're growing 35% every year over the past 3 years, 2.5 years, which is a lot, really hard to sustain. We're doing 20% now. We're going to slow down to about 15%, which is still a lot over the next 5 years. But the answer is, I mean, we believe we can add about 20 planes every year to the network. And that's 1 plane every other week. I have many other airlines that are doing more than 1 plane per week, right? So we believe we can. But as important as that, I mean, it's not only about new destinations. I mean, 2/3 of the capacity that we're deploying is to markets that we serve today. So we're actually adding frequency to these markets in a way that we can provide a better product to our customers.
So you're just settling in, things are going well. President Trump is a disruptor. I mean, everybody that I talk to, from markets to industry, disruption and volatility. What's been your worst moment in the 4 months since President Trump took to office?
We've had a very, I mean, Q1 was the best ever for us. Right?
But there must have been a moment where you drew breath.
So Q1 was the best ever for us. I mean, April was really good. So we managed, we only, I mean, can say thank you to everyone that is happening in the world right now and in the region, because in the end, demand is strong. I mean, our net promoter score, which is a metric of customer satisfaction, is improving. So there was a lot of talks about tariffs, and I understand it's impacting, right, some regions. But take Etihad Cargo as an example. Only 3% of our network is into the US. So actually, cargo is improving for us over the past 60 days. You see what I mean? So these things, they may represent short-term volatility for some airlines, but for us, I mean, we don't feel that. It wouldn't be fair to say that, I mean, we have an external shock that is preventing us to deliver what we have to deliver.
Contextualize going forward then, people talk about the hedonism of the consumer in the United States, the strength of the consumer around the world. What is the biggest risk to you over the next 6 months?
So I think if you take 6 months to 1.5 years, 2 years, then if you see any sort of big contraction, right, in the North Atlantic flows, for instance, Europe to the US, or if you see a lot of contraction in the US in a way that you change the balance of supply and demand, right, that may be a problem, even if I'm not there. Let me explain you why. The reason for that is very simple. The airplanes are movable, right? The airplanes can come from one region to the other region. And then that may represent more supply in the Middle East. That may represent more supply in India. So more airplanes, right? More supply. Then I have to adjust capacity to demand, right? Because demand will not grow. So
So that's your risk. Your risk is a slowdown on that transatlantic wave, and that ends up supply dumping.
Exactly. So that's, if you ask me what is that I'm interested in terms of this situation that the world is facing today, is what's going to happen in 6 months, 1 year in terms of supply and demand in other regions.
Which takes us to the blockbuster order. President was here, 28 wide-body aircraft. Tell me, is that for growth strategy or is that for replacement?
Well, thank you for the question. I mean, we've been adding planes since 2023. I usually say that we're not in the aircraft buying business, right? We're in the ticket selling business. So we sell tickets, right? We actually are very conservative announcing deals. If you think about it, in 2022 we had about 70 planes. Mm-hmm. Today I have 30 planes. Most of these planes were ordered in 2023, and we made no announcement, right? We decided to make this announcement because it's wide bodies, right?
Okay.
So it's an important order, right? And we said, look, let's announce that because it's an important for employees, for people, for Abu Dhabi. And this is not replacement. This is actually incremental. So Etihad today has a plan to get to about 160 to 180 planes by 2030. And that's very likely to happen, and these planes are going to help that.
So here's the question. Apart from a firm handshake and a looking in the eyes of Kelly Ortberg, what gives you the confidence they can deliver?
I mean, we have the 787s, right? I understand the program on the 777 side is late, right?
Yes.
So we only
late is an understatement.
You're right. It's very late, or extremely late. But we ordered those planes. You order some 777s access, but only after 2030. So we want to reduce the risk that we have in the short term. The 787 is back on track. Actually, today, Boeing is anticipating 2 weeks my deliveries in July, right? I just got the message today. So, I mean, the 787 is under control. The 737 is ramping up. So I don't see that as a big risk for me right now.
I was listening to Michael O'Leary just the other day. He runs Ryanair. He's on the phone pretty much regularly with Stephanie Pope. How regularly are you in touch with Stephanie Pope or Ortberg?
I mean, she was here last week and we had a great conversation. I mean, but we frequently talk, and not only to her, but I mean, all the teams are working together, right? So I have people in Charleston right now following up on the plane. So I think Boeing is going to get back on track. I do think so.
Is that a vote of confidence in the operational side of the business or the management?
I think it's a vote of confidence on the results they've been delivering over the past 6 months.
North Atlantic travel, that's one of your worries. I'm curious. We've had a lot of media warnings. We've had risk raised in terms of traveling to the US. Has it impacted you in any way? Have you seen any shuffling of the forward bookings into the US?
No. What we see into the US is more competition right now. So demand levels are the same, actually a little bit more than last year, but we see increased competition, right? So average fare is not behaving as it was behaving in the past. So it's really cheap now to fly to the US in summer. I mean, I recommend everyone to take a look at that. But that's good, it's competition, right?
Oil prices are down. That's a major component for you. How are the costs at the moment? Oil has dropped aggressively this year. How's the cost base going? Is that squeezing downwards?
I mean, we did in 2023, we improved efficiency, and our unit cost, excluding fuel, was down 8%. We did minus 8% again, one of the few airlines in the world in 2024. This year, our objective is, excluding fuel, should be -1%, -2%, right? There's so much you can take out of efficiency, right? On the fuel side, I mean, of course, it went down, so it's helping. So we are very much under control in terms of cost.
Let's pivot to the possibility of an event for Etihad, an IPO. I'm curious, you talk to the leadership regularly. How do you position this when you talk to them? Because you don't want to be behind Emirates, Dubai Duty Free, or anybody else in the queue. Is that on the mind of the leadership? We don't want to be last on this IPO train.
I would say that, I mean, I've done IPOs before, and
so you must be quite convincing to leadership then.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, IPOs are not an end game, right? It's just another lever that you can pull to finance your growth, right? So any discussion that I join in terms of IPO here or in any other airline, right, or in any other business that I was part of, it's always about, I mean, do we need that financing? Because in the end, it's financing, right? I mean, you have some situations where people go and they IPO the company so that they can exit the business, right? If you're a private equity, you need to IPO because you need to exit the business. That's not our shareholder case. The shareholder is not exiting the business, right? Actually, we paid dividends last year, right? So it's a good business for the shareholder. It's important for Abu Dhabi, right? So,
but this is a sweet spot moment for capital. There's a global demand for assets in this region. This is the sweet spot to get your slot.
Yeah, and Flynas just did a terrific IPO, right? I mean, they just did it, and I agree with you. But reality is, this airline is generating cash. My net leverage last year was 1.8 times. Now it's 1.1 time. So I'd better have a good reason in terms of capital need. And honestly, I mean, the more I deleverage the company, the less I give the shareholder reason to IPO, right? So again, it's a very interesting, I mean, thought for the shareholder, right? So if I'm paying dividends, right? I mean, if you see other airlines, right, that are in that situation, paying dividends, deleveraging, what they're doing, they're buying back shares. Take Ryanair as an example, right? They're buying back shares. So why should we IPO? I think that's where the shareholder is probably scratching their heads, but that's for them to tell you.
Do you think an IPO is a 2-year-out event, Manus, 3-year-out event?
I mean, I think it can be any time. It can be, we're ready. That's what I've been saying. But it really depends on the shareholder approach about that, right? Because if the airline is paying dividends, if the airline is deleveraging, if you put yourselves on the shareholder shoes, right, why you're going to share that, right? So, but that's for them.
Share the joy. But
that can be one objective function, right? I mean, developing the local capital market, right? Because there are not many assets in the region that are, I would say, counter-cyclical to oil, right? So we are. I mean, if oil goes down, I mean, airline profitability can eventually go up. So I don't know. I'm speculating here.
Of course.
This is more for the shareholder.
Of course, and it could be a crown jewel moment.
Yeah.
Let's turn to the reason why we're here. We're celebrating Make It in the Emirates around the UAE. You're holding your own event here about recruitment. There's a flight simulator that I'm very tempted to have a go in. Tell me how employment, what is the plan in terms of actually employing more people within Etihad?
So we see that from two lenses, right? One lens is, I mean, we're growing, as I told you, right? Every time you add one plane, you have to hire about 70 people, 70, right? So if you add 20 planes, it's 1,400 people, right? So this year, if you include turnover, I mean, we're going to be hiring 2,000 people. It's a lot.
And is that across the spectrum? That's not just cabin crew, that's engineering. So
Yeah,
where's the biggest hire?
The majority is cabin crew,
Okay.
pilots, and engineers and technicians, right? And we put a lot of energy behind that. I mean, we're blessed to be in Abu Dhabi, right? Because it's for us, it's been very easy to attract pilots and flight attendants and technicians. But so that's one lens, right? I need to keep the airline running. We need to staff the airline, and there's a lot of efforts around recruitment. The other effort is, it's our obligation, right, to make sure that we develop the national talent, right? It's our obligation as a company, right? That's a clear mandate that we have from the shareholder, from the board. And it's our first career fair dedicated to the UAE national talent, right? And I'm so excited to be here today because in the end, right, I've spent my entire career recruiting national talent, right? When I was the CEO of an airline in Brazil, I was recruiting Brazilians, right? When I was in Portugal, I was recruiting Portuguese, right, as talents, right? And now that we decided to put a lot of energy behind this, and we create this amazing forum for the national talent to understand what Etihad is doing, right? To see what are the career opportunities that we have. I mean, it's really a very happy day for everyone in Etihad.
And just in terms of the broader market, it's getting tight. You've got Saudi Air, you've got Qatar Air, you've got Emirates. Everybody's chasing after the same pool of talent. How hot is the jobs market at the moment?
Every Monday, 9 a.m., you are I mean, more than invited to come. I do what we call the induction for the new hires every Monday, 9 a.m. If I'm traveling, I cannot do it,
sure.
right? But if I'm here, I do it. I did this week, right? And there is no single week, and we have about 50 to 60 people, right? We're hiring, as I told you, 2,000 people per year. So some weeks we don't have, right? Summer it's less, so that's about 40 sessions per year, right? I probably do 30 out of these sessions. And the first thing that I do when I arrive is I tell people, look, stand up, tell me where you come from, where we worked before, and what you're going to do in Etihad. And then we talk about the company, right? And it's mind-blowing. I mean, we have a lot of talent coming, and we have pilots with 4,000 hours, 5,000 hours, 7,000 hours, captains from other airlines. I mean, mechanics from all over the world. I mean, so we don't feel a challenge, I mean, in terms of recruitment. I think the value proposition that we have today is amazing. If you are a pilot and you have, let's say, 4,000 hours and you're a co-pilot, you're going to become a captain in Etihad in 2 years.
Okay, let's just close it off with this. Emirates just paid, again, excess bonus of 20 weeks. What scale of bonuses? You've had record profits, 5 million passengers. Speak to the staff. What's the size of the bonus? Are you ready to step up and pay record bonuses?
We just did. I mean, this year we paid record bonus because of last year's results. And what I tell the staff is, look, guys, I mean, our net margin is about 7%.
Yeah.
Right? Emirates' net margin is about 15%.
Okay.
The day you get 15, it's going to be just like Emirates, right? So that's our objective, and everyone's very focused. I mean, we came from 0 in 2022 to 7% net margin in 2024. I hope this year we'll do a bit more and we can pay a bit more.
Hope is a great thing. Hope to delivery. Antonoaldo Neves, thank you for joining the National.
Thank you. Thank you.